All right, let's get into our next discussion now. Adequate power supply is a key factor needed to unlock the economic potential of any country. But the sector remains strategic in reducing the cost of doing business and adversely affecting the living standards of Nigerians.
But Nigeria still struggles to provide adequate power for its citizens. Now, more than 60% of Nigeria's electricity is generated from the gas plants, while the rest is gotten from 3 hydropower plants. Earlier in the month, Nigeria's Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, pledged that Nigerian households would enjoy an improved power supply by August.
But despite his pledge, power generation continues to decline. Now, according to the Transmission Company of Nigeria, 22,978 megawatts of electricity was wheeled out between July 17th to July 23. But about 25,000 megawatts was generated in the previous week. This shows that power generation dropped by 2,841 megawatts between the two periods.
Nigeria has the capacity to generate 12,000 megawatts of power to meet the electricity needs of Nigerians. Now, that's according to the Association of Power Generation Companies, APGC. Executive Secretary of the APGC, Joy Ogaji, says GENCOs currently have available an 8,000 megawatt capacity, given the readiness of the transmission and distribution networks to absorb the power generated. Of course, that's where the major problem lies too.
Now, the transmission company wheeling capacity is at 7,000 megawatts, while the network operational capacity, which shows the actual amount of power consumers can get per time from the industry through the distribution companies, by DISCOs, is 5,500 megawatt. Now, this means no matter the power generation, not more than 5,500 megawatts can be delivered to the over 6 million customers with Nigeria's grid system.
All right, we have the Executive Director of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, Sunday Odunton, in the studio in Abuja, joining us this morning. Good morning, and it's good to see you again. It's been a while that we've talked about the power situation. It's still not in a good place right now.
Good morning.
All right, so
there's no doubt that we still have a long way to go.
Obviously, Nigeria loses some 7.5 trillion naira yearly to poor electricity supply. That is huge. That's the amount of what Nigeria expects for its budget every year. Mr. Odunton, what can you tell us about where we are right now? Why are we at this position again, losing some 2,800 megawatts?
Thank you very much. Let me first of all say that the current Honorable Minister for Power, Works and Housing has been working very hard, unusually hard, even compared with his predecessors, a lot harder than what we used to have. But to know where we are, you have to know where we are coming from, why we are where we are, and where we are supposed to be. And in terms of what we are doing now, I have no doubt that we still have a long way to go. We need to generate more. We need to be able to expand our transmission grid. We also need to expand the distribution grid. I saw some of your statistics there. It may not be exactly true to say that the distribution capacity is only 5,500 megawatts. But for us, the issue is even beyond that. What we should be looking at is, should Nigeria even be talking about 8,000 megawatts by now? The answer is no. But you cannot blame the man who just came into the saddle in 2015. What I think we should all do is to work together to improve the situation. So sometimes when there is a decline, as it is, it could be due to a lot of factors, one of which is possibly there could be transmission high frequency, forcing the system to shut down. There could be issue of load rejection by the DISCOs, which of course it can be due to 2 major factors. One of it is if supplies are taken to areas that are not commercially viable for the DISCOs, they reject the load. But on the other hand, too, we also have some dilapidated infrastructure within the distribution network, which also need to be improved. But same thing with the transmission grid, too. There's a need for improvement. All these requirements of improvement or need for improvement are still down to the issue of liquidity. Unless and until we're able to solve the liquidity crisis in the system, we will continue to talk about the same thing. Because until the products are properly priced, until the shortfall is dealt with, there will not be enough capital investment in the system. That is part of the major problem that we are facing. And that is the reason for that. But I can also say again that there have been some improvements. I think you should do your survey, go around and check. You will see that there has been a lot of improvement in power supply. Here in Abuja, there has been a lot of improvement. Go to Ibadan, there's a lot of improvement, even in Kano. And as we are talking about this issue of declining power generation or power supply, we should not lose sight of the problem of the leakages in the system. Kano, for instance, Kano Disco recently installed 13,000 meters. Out of those 13,000, 8,000 were bypassed. People stealing energy is still part of the problem. So we are not passing the buck. We are just saying that we have a lot of work to do. But I as a person, and I as a body, commend the minister for a very good job so far. And I believe that we will only get better. It will only get better.
Okay. Well, in your commendation of the minister, that is between you and them. What Nigerians want to see, they don't want to know how hard the minister is working, how the sleepless nights he's having. It is the light in their homes they want to see. And in all of the hard work, that is what it should translate into. So until they see that, they don't know if the minister is working. But let's get into, well, I know we've had you countless times on the program to talk about some of these challenges. I remember the days we used to say the tension in the Niger Delta was responsible for the poor gas supply to the stations and all of that. But all that, there's peace in the Niger Delta now, constant supply is guaranteed now, and so on. At this point, can Nigerians say or make conclusions all right, listen, can Nigerians make conclusions that the state of things now, some people are benefiting from this status quo?
Well, I can confirm to you that gas constraint is still an issue. The issue of gas constraint is still there. There's no doubt that the issue of gas supply is a big issue, and that is still there. You see, I love the fact that Nigerians want power supply. I also want to say that Nigerians also have a role to play if they truly want power supply. You cannot have it free. You cannot have it cheap. You cannot have it as a social service. It is no more a free-for-all thing. You cannot continue to steal energy and you want power supply. If your neighbor is stealing and you're not saying anything, my dear brother, you cannot have power supply. So it is something that all of us have a role to play. It's not just for the operator, the government, or the regulators alone. It is all of us. So the issue of Nigerians want power. Yes, they want power. Are Nigerians willing to pay for power? Are they really paying? I can confirm to you that majority of our people are not paying.
Is that what the problem is? Is that where the problem lies?
Unless and until you are ready to pay.
Is that where the problem lies?
That's part of the problem.
That Nigerians are not willing to pay. That is part of the problem.
But
Nigerians will tell you, how do you expect me to pay for a service that I'm not getting in the first place?
Okay. Now, my dear sister, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
Where you live, can you tell me whether the power has improved or not?
Well, it seems
I know where you live.
It seemed to have improved, but then again, all of a sudden...
I know where you live.
Do you?
Your supply has improved. I know your house. Your supply has improved. That's the recommendation to all.
This is really interesting to me, but it's all right. But it's all right. Well, we get reports from across the country.
I live in a village called Ikorodu.
Ikorodu is a town.
Oh, come on.
Now, the point there is, you're talking about the system and all of that. When it comes to metering, that is really still a very big challenge. Now, we've been on this for quite a long time. who is supposed to be responsible for monitoring the system? Because if you don't have mechanism or parameter to monitor the system and ensure that anybody who steals or anybody who diverts or anybody who illegally connects electricity is duly punished or prosecuted and all of that, how do you have a good system if you don't put a mechanism to check all of those by yourself?
Well, I've just told you that Kano Disco recently installed 13,000 meters. And these customers, 8,000 of them bypassed within 4 weeks. That's a very high rate of theft. We witnessed that in Ikeja, in Eko, in Bini, and in Port Harcourt. It's all over. So what I'm saying is, where we even put the mechanism, the issue of theft goes on unabated. Now, talking about what to do with that, we can only report them, they get arrested, but go and check our court system. I'm a lawyer. One of the major problems of Nigeria today is the issue of justice, because it takes a long time for matters to go through the courts, either because we don't have enough judges, or we keep on having this, what I call technical justice, in place of substantive justice. It is time that Nigeria begins to do substantive justice as against technical justice. All the technicalities by my learned friend, the lawyers, is part of the reason why we are not getting justice in this country. We will arrest people and they will release them. In 2014, we arrested some men in Ogun State. The police arrested them on our behalf for stealing transformer oil. They were taken to the police station in Ogun State. They call it a Lewe in Abeokuta. Well, they were released. They were not even charged to court. So when you have a system like that, where criminals or suspects are released back into the society without them paying for their crime, you will continue to have that kind of problem. Vandalism goes on unabated. Here in Abuja, somewhere in Sun City Estate, we have had issues where people will go and vandalize cables. And these are the problems in the system. This
All right, let's come back very quickly
for Nigeria to be great.
Yeah. We do understand that, yes. Of course, like you said, everybody is involved here. But let's look at the issue of liquidity, the holistic approach that you have recommended that government should come up with. I know that the World Bank is coming up with some $2.6 billion to aid the power sector, and another $2.7 billion from so-called MIGA, that's Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. How much difference would this funding actually make in improving power in Nigeria?
You know, when I started off, I commended the Honorable Minister. I did that because I know certain things going on, which I didn't even give any detail. One of them is what you just mentioned. Between the office of the Vice President or the Acting President and the Honorable Minister and other stakeholders and the World Bank, we are getting to a point where the liquidity crisis is going to be addressed. And for now, we're still struggling because I've said it before, if I'm buying a product for 68 Naira and I'm only allowed to sell the same product for 31 Naira 50 kobo, that tells you that there's no way I can make a huge capital investment. The issue of metering you're talking about is tied to investment, huge capital investment and liquidity. So I can confirm that efforts are going on, and I believe that what the Honorable Minister and the Acting President, what they are doing, we will get to a point where we should be able to solve this problem. The major problem is liquidity. And you cannot overlook that. You cannot be expecting me to give you transformer if I cannot even recover my cost. I cannot be buying for 68 Naira and selling for 31 Naira 50 kobo, and then you expect me to perform magic. That is not possible. So until we're able to deal with all of that, that is when we can talk about getting exactly what Nigerians need. But again, I really feel for Nigerians. I'm also a customer of a disco, and I know that Nigerians are entitled to have power supply. That's just what I would say. And that's why every time we keep on apologizing to Nigerians for the not too good power supply. But there has been a lot of improvement. I'm
All right,
with
Sunday.
all sense of humility.
Yes.
Where I live in Abuja, there's a lot of improvement.
So Sunday Odunton would have loved to continue here, but time would not permit us to go on and on. But we thank you for joining us on the program. Sunday Odunton is the Executive Director, Association of Nigeria Electricity Distributors. Thank you for coming on the program.